It looks like Alec Baldwin is not out of the woodwork when it has to do with that rush shooting. That, I mean, could you believe it? It happened in 2021, so 2 years ago right now that it occurred, and it's still not even a resolved situation right now. But this is according to NBC News. Prosecutors investigating a rush shooting intend to bring involuntary manslaughter charge against Alec Baldwin before a grand jury. This comes 5 months after special prosecutors dismissed the same charge against Baldwin, citing new facts in this case. Now, for people who don't know, a grand jury it's kind of like a jury in a regular trial, but in this situation, the prosecutors are deciding whether they want to actually bring charges against him or whether there's enough evidence to bring charges. So what they do is they're the only ones in this situation who present their evidence to the jury. So the defense doesn't get to present their evidence or try to counter what the prosecutor is offering. Basically, the prosecutor is making their best case to the jury. And if the jury isn't convinced with that, then yeah, there's no charges and Alec Baldwin is free to go. But if they think there's a compelling enough case to actually argue that, yeah, he committed involuntary manslaughter, well, then it moves on to a trial. I mean, it doesn't mean Alec Baldwin is guilty at that point. It just means there's enough evidence for him to stand trial in this situation. And what I find crazy about this is that he was already dismissed of these charges 5 months ago, like the headline said. But they did point out, though, that as new evidence comes in, they'll reserve the right to recharge him. And it goes into that in this article kind of down here. When the involuntary manslaughter charges were dropped earlier this year, prosecutors said the gun might have been modified before the shooting and malfunctioned. Now, that's why they decided to dismiss the charges, because if he was maintaining that the gun just went off, he never squeezed the trigger and things like that. So they were ruling this an accident, and that's why they decided not to charge him. But then we got this information. A gun analysis report commissioned by the special prosecutor and released in August found that the gun had not been modified, which means even though Baldwin was maintained that he didn't pull the trigger, he had to have pulled the trigger in order for the gun to go off. So that's why they're deciding to recharge him, because this is new evidence in the case, and that's why they got rid of that dismissal previously. One source added that Baldwin's case will be brought before a grand jury in mid-November. There had been a recent discussion of a plea deal to a petty misdemeanor that was rescinded over the weekend, according to two sources familiar with this matter. And I find that part kind of puzzling, because they said back in August is when they got the report that the gun fired because Alec Baldwin pulled the trigger. And then it was up until a week ago, they're still toying with the idea about just giving him a misdemeanor. So I'm kind of curious what transpired that made them want to rescind the plea deal, because it doesn't say that Baldwin's team or whatever dismissed or rejected the terms to the plea deal or anything like that. It said that they rescinded it, which what I'm getting from that is the prosecutors initially had that plea deal on the table and then they pulled it themselves. So I don't know why they would pull it. I mean, if this is the new information was that he squeezed the trigger, I mean, they could have pulled the plea deal a couple months ago. So the fact of the matter is there must be something else that they uncovered that we don't know about yet, or that's not being reported, that kind of got them to think like maybe we shouldn't offer him a plea deal and actually send this before a grand jury. One of the sources told NBC News that after further investigation, prosecutors no longer believe the gun had been modified and have found new evidence that they believe connects Baldwin to recklessness around safety standards on the set. And everyone who handles firearms, who has handled firearms, knows the basic rules. Like, you always treat every gun as if it's loaded. And you don't point it at anything. You don't intend to kill or destroy. You keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire, and you know what's your target and what's beyond your target. I mean, it's pretty basic safety standards. I mean, in order to actually accidentally kill anyone, you have to violate all those rules. Now, on a movie set, things are a little different, because sometimes you will have to violate those on a movie set, like by putting your finger on the trigger, or pointing the gun at another person that you don't intend to actually shoot, or things like that. And should people follow those as much as possible? Absolutely. But like I said, sometimes on a movie, it's unavoidable actually violating those. So there is almost like a certain set of safety rules for movies themselves that they have to enforce. And Baldwin, he's been in the Hollywood system for a while. He's done enough action movies himself. I mean, he knows these rules. So apparently these allegations are that not only did he squeeze the trigger when he shouldn't have, but also he was being reckless on set with the safety standards, which means he knows the safety rules. I mean, they have to brief actors and crew members on the safety rules, any movie that has guns involved with it. And apparently he was violating those rules himself. So that could be one of the reasons why they decided to rescind this. I mean, they got the report that he pulled the trigger. It's like, okay, well, whatever. I mean, still, let's just give him a misdemeanor plea deal or something like that. Then they hear other things about him being reckless on set and violating the safety standards. So maybe this is just what I'm thinking right here. Maybe they're looking at that and thinking like, okay, well, now we should probably charge him because this isn't acceptable, or at least put it in front of a grand jury. So they're saying he's going to be charged with involuntary manslaughter, and this could carry up to 18 months in prison if convicted. And I just looked up New Mexico statutes, what it takes to be convicted of involuntary manslaughter. And this is what it has. Involuntary manslaughter consists of manslaughter committed in the commission of an unlawful act not amounting to a felony, or in the commission of a lawful act which might produce death in an unlawful manner or without due caution and circumspection. Circumspection. Man, I can't read today. So I think this is what I'm getting, or that what they're really getting at with this. Pointing a gun at someone on a movie set, okay, maybe that's lawful as long as you take the proper precaution. He was being reckless on set, wasn't taking the proper precaution. As a result, someone died. So that's why they're figuring like, okay, well, he was, so it was without due caution for the situation. So that's probably why they're charging him with this. And it's just a matter of whether the grand jury once they see the evidence, what they want to do with this. But I am curious how this will turn out, because, I mean, it's kind of hard to believe that they would actually convict him of that. But I mean, it's not like there hasn't been celebrities who've gone to jail for something like this. And 18 months in prison, I mean, he'll probably end up doing half that time, if anything like that. So I don't know. I mean, some people have tried to say like this was murder on his part. I mean, I don't think it's murder. I think this was an accident, but I wasn't on the set, so I can't say anything because I haven't seen the evidence. But I mean, I do find it believable that maybe he was just he was being rushed. He was not paying attention, and he just let safety standards fall by the wayside. And this is the result of it. I mean, but like I said, I mean, I wasn't there. I don't know. I haven't seen the evidence. I mean, that's just my interpretation of what may have happened. I mean, I think it was just an accident, but yeah, I mean, it's an accident that someone died, another person was injured, and it really didn't have to happen that way, and it could have been avoided. But at least that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. And if you like this video, make sure you click that like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with the latest news. Thank you.